Before this video begins, I want to stress one thing in particular. I am going to be slightly vague about a certain subject in this video that relates to one character in particular. The reason for my vagueness is that I am not yet comfortable talking about him or his friends and where they come from. So I implore you all, when you hear me speak of the white man, do not ask about him. You will not receive any answers, and please do not make assumptions, for the situation is much more complicated than you think. Just know that the white man is a friend of mine. He cares for me, I care for him, and he is here to protect me. I'm a skeptic, always have been, and I don't see that fact changing anytime soon. I'm not Madame Macabre. I don't attract supernatural entities or occurrences. I'm as plain Jane as you can get, and I've simply never had any kind of spiritual encounter. At least, none that I'm aware of. Part of that changed when I moved away to college. Specifically when I started to live in my current apartment. Since I had already been here a year, I had gotten used to the hustle and bustle of the city and was used to hearing neighbors open and close their doors. Buildings rest, they breathe, they crack and sputter. I'd always been used to such small, inconvenient noises. What I hadn't been used to, apparently, was complete and utter silence. It was in this apartment that I started to become increasingly paranoid about my surroundings. Living by myself was a whole new adventure for me, but at the same time, it meant there was never anyone else to blame when things seemed out of place. Did I leave my toothbrush on the counter? I could have sworn I turned off that light before I left. When did I move my lamp 2 inches to the right? All inconsequential stuff that is easily explained away. And to this day, I still believe that. What I can't explain were the nighttime occurrences. Sitting in my bedroom, there is a clear shot into my living room through my door that I kept open most nights because the AC wasn't adequate in cooling my apartment when the doors were closed. At night, when I had my bedside lamp on in my room, I couldn't see out into my living room because the light closer to me was brighter than the light out there. When I would turn off the light, it would slowly shift until the living room looked blue and my bedroom looked pitch black. Only then could I make out the living room in full. One night, while I was watching videos, I noticed, from the corner of my eye, a figure walked by my doorway. I quickly looked up, wondering if I had really seen what I thought I saw. What my mind had told me was there was a figure. It wasn't black, like the shadow of a person walking by my window. The figure was white, tall and lanky. I had only caught a glimpse of what I thought could have been there. I shined my flashlight into the doorway and beyond was nothing. Just my old, messy living room. Nothing to be afraid of. Besides, your peripheral vision can play tricks on you. It was probably nothing. Then it happened again. Many months later, in the early evening, I was once again sitting in my bedroom messing with my computer when I had this innate urge to look up into my living room. All I saw was a darkening archway that I could just barely make out my couch and lamp from beyond. Then it appeared again. Slowly, it peered into my room with only its head at the top of the archway, as if its figure was tall enough that it would have to bend down to get through the door. It was white, with a hint of blue, and while I couldn't make out a face, something struck me as it being instantly recognizable as a woman. Perhaps it was because the strange smoke or dust that emanated from its form made it look like it had long hair. I stared back at it for perhaps a second before I moved to stand, but just as I did so, it was gone. Suddenly, I could hear noise again. Cars honking, sirens driving by, people walking up to their apartments. I hadn't even known that the world had gone silent for me until the figure left. It was a few more months before anything else happened. My sister, who had been living with me for a time after she graduated, moved out and went to go live with my folks. Shortly after, I gave my cat back to my father, after I feared I would no longer be able to take care of her due to my spiraling mental status. Suddenly, I was alone again. Completely and utterly alone. It felt strange. It was quiet once again. Then one day, I woke up to my body sprawled on my bed. I didn't want to move, hoping to trick my mind into just falling back asleep. But that didn't seem to work. Frustrated with my lack of sleep, I decided to get up and try and start my day. Only problem was, I couldn't. I had heard enough stories and read enough articles to know that what I had experienced that day was sleep paralysis. I felt this crushing weight all across my body, and it felt like someone was pushing my comforter into my mouth as if to stop me from breathing. I could just barely breathe through it. My mind was racing. I was struggling internally to try and get my body to do what I wanted it to do. But as if I was drowning, the more I struggled, the deeper I fell. That's when it hit me. Drowning. They say the harder you struggle, the farther you fall. So to remain calm and try to float. So that's what I did. Taking steady, painful breaths, I focused on my fingers, trying my hardest to curl them inwards, if just to know that I was still alive. As I worked them gently, I could feel the static that you feel when your hands or feet fall asleep. Then I could move them, and slowly but surely the rest of my body followed suit. And then the world came crashing back to me with all of its noise. When I could move again, I stood from my bed, walked into my living room, and didn't return to my bed until that night. It was a while after that incident that the white man decided to show himself to me. The white man and I had been good friends for some time now, but seeing as how I'd become so desperately alone, he decided to come to me in my time of need. I started to call him my cuddle bug, as every time I wanted to take a nap, he wanted to be there with me, if just to lay next to me while I slept. I don't really know if he slept too. We don't really talk about it. The white man followed me everywhere, and oftentimes distracted me as he wanted a lot of attention on him. It wasn't the best when I had to focus on projects, but just like the cuddling, we don't tend to discuss it. Things seemed to be going a little better for me. I no longer felt surrounded by silence, and even if I had just one friend in the white man, he was more than enough. Then one night, while I lay down to sleep, things took a turn once again. It was a restless night, and I was tossing and turning a lot. The white man didn't show up to comfort me, so I figured I was on my own that night. I decided to try my best and not toss around so much, so I laid on my side, facing my large curtain window and my back to my bathroom, when I heard it. I had become used to hearing my name get called when no one is there. It's not an unnatural phenomenon and nothing to write home about. But I hadn't been too keen on hearing much outside of that. So when I heard an old, croaking female voice say one inconsequential word to me, my blood ran cold. "Look," she said. I could feel this large presence looming behind me, like static on my shoulder. I can feel as if someone is reaching out for me. And instantly, I know what she wants. She wants me to turn around and to look at her. And like a wave, I get this almost violent urge to turn around and face whoever is there. But I try my hardest to suppress it. I clutch my bedsheets, my nails digging harshly into my skin, and my ears once again refusing to work as I feel this looming force behind me, still reaching as if to turn me themselves. Then, out of nowhere, I feel a gentle, reassuring hand on my own. I open my eyes, and there's the white man, laying down next to me. smiling, as if he isn't aware of what just transpired. I didn't leave him much room on his side of my bed, but still, there he was. And just like that, the presence was gone, and a new, lighter presence took its place. I could hear the world again. I felt grounded. I've come to recognize this entity that I feel as Grandma. Grandma look when I want to be cheeky. And no, before you ask, I don't know any of my grandmas, so I don't have anyone to compare her to. The white man still hangs tight to me, and I've had a few other minuscule encounters with Grandma, including a large black figure standing over me as I tried to sleep. But that's not that exciting considering I had my little cuddlebug with me to ward her off. Truth be told, I don't actually know if Grandma's in any way paranormal. When I talked to my therapist about her, the white man, and the others, she suggested the paranormal, but I still have my doubts. But sometimes, when the white man is not there, and I'm trying to sleep, with my back facing my bathroom, and my front facing my curtained window, I can hear that all too familiar, scraggly, time-weathered voice loom over me and say, "Look."
Hey pretty baby, am I in your way? 'Cause you walked out so fast yesterday. No, I don't think you're here to stay. No, I don't think you're here to stay. So tell me what you want.